Everyone, we've been receiving a lot of requests to do a video on the coronavirus and immune function, so that's kind of going to be the focus of this video, and it actually turns out to be really good timing for us.
Yes, I'll be flying out Tuesday. My grandpa fell ill after the wedding. They don't know if he's going to make it. Normally I would not be going. I would not be flying right now, especially with him being older. Like, I don't want to carry anything to him. But this may be the last time I see him. So I did a cost benefit there. It's worth it for me to travel and see him right now.
Yeah, traveling's kind of a bad idea if you are immunocompromised or just scared of getting sick because you're locked in an airtight chamber with a bunch of people that could be vectors for infections. And
Absolutely.
so it's just generally not a good idea, especially if you really don't want to risk getting the coronavirus. Then travel by plane is probably not your best friend right now.
Yeah, and I definitely avoided a lot of air travel the last year with my melanoma because melanoma is largely immune mediated. And so flying's like the worst thing you could do when you have something that's immune.
Yeah,
regulated.
Plus all the radiation you're being exposed to, yeah. Anyway, so one of the big things that I see on memes and the news and everything where I kind of wanted to start our conversation is this huge, like, fear-based attitude around the coronavirus.
Hysteria
Yeah.
is insane right now.
People are going out and buying out toilet paper. I went to the store the other day. There was no canned food anywhere.
Yesterday we were walking and we saw people like carrying cases of toilet paper on their shoulders.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And having this fear-based mindset is probably one of the worst things that you could do if you want to maintain a robust immune system that is resilient against infections, isn't it?
Yes, because when we are scared or in a fear-based mindset, we have increased catecholamines, which suppresses the immune function.
Yeah, and if you have a suppressed immune function, then you're not going to be able to fight off the infection when you get hit with it.
But do you think that you can completely fight off all viruses with just boosting your immune system?
That's a good question, and I don't know. I mean, certainly there are a lot of viruses that just sit dormant in the body because all they need to do is get inside a cell and then be able to hide out.
Yeah.
HIV is actually a perfect example of this. It just sits in your body and does nothing until it eventually manifests as AIDS. So I don't know, and there really isn't a lot of
I'm not so convinced that if you come into direct contact with a virus that you will be, you won't get it if you bolster your immune system, right?
Yeah.
I don't believe that. I believe that you can keep it at bay, symptoms and like an outbreak or whatever. But yeah. I don't think that you can completely prevent viruses from.
Yeah. And so,
lifestyle.
I mean, that I kind of want to take a moment real quick to talk about the flip side of the hysteria, especially when we're talking about how you can't really prevent yourself from getting it, even though you can make sure that you're resilient against any effects it might have. And that's that, you know, contrary to a lot of people freaking out, you also have a lot of people that are saying it's a complete non-issue. And
that's not true either.
Yeah. Yeah, for those people,
that's just as crazy as stocking up like cases of toilet paper.
Yeah,
like it's on the same level. But
yeah, and
opposite sides of the spectrum.
Yep, and the thing that I just said with viruses is they can lay dormant, and so that's an issue because even if you aren't expressing symptoms, you can still be a vector that's contagious, and so everyone should kind of be precautious. There's no reason to not be precautious. If you do express symptoms, if you start to feel a foggy head, congestion, or a fever, then you need to self-quarantine. You need to stay at home and you need to do your best to not expose yourself to other people because you don't know what problems the people you run into have going on. You could bump into someone that's immunocompromised. You could bump into an elderly individual that has just a weaker immune system. And these people could really get into severe trouble if they are exposed to the coronavirus, especially if it sets them up for a secondary infection from something like pneumonia.
Exactly.
You need to just be more cognizant of the fact that you could be contagious, and that it's a good idea to be a good human and look out for people that aren't going to have as robust of an immune system as you do.
Yeah, so I think it's important to point out that when you're going shopping and trying to prepare for whatever is coming, people here in Manhattan, I mean, we're in ground zero for this virus. Like, everyone is touching. There's so much metal. There's so many people. The population density is insane.
Yeah.
So we're going to get hit the worst, right? We're not scared at all. Not because we don't think we're going to get it, but just because being scared does nothing.
It just makes the situation worse.
Don't take more than you need at the store. Remember that there's elderly people that cannot travel to get these supplies. By taking it all, you're being very selfish.
Yeah.
Think of the elderly people, and if you know elderly people, call them and ask them if they need anything right now.
Yeah.
Because they're more at risk of dying from this, because they're not giving tests out to people over 80 right now or something. I don't know.
They're barely giving tests out, period. Relative to the population in the U.S., the amount of tests is just ridiculous. In like New York, they're not giving out more than a couple hundred tests, and we are like the largest city in the frickin' U.S. It just makes no sense.
Yeah, that's insane.
So yeah, it just, be a good human. Be aware, don't freak out, but also acknowledge the seriousness of the situation, especially for other individuals that are at an increased risk for infection.
Check in on your friends.
If you have
especially if you know that your friend has an anxiety disorder.
Yeah.
They're going to be freaking out right now. Talk to them. Talking really helps anxiety because it helps you reframe your irrational thoughts. Fear drives irrational thoughts. And if you can talk to a calm friend, it can bring a new perspective and new rational thoughts about the situation. Yeah,
and that alone, just the increased mood state and reduced anxiety and the reduced stress is going to bolster their immunity too. And so you're helping them against the coronavirus through just being a good friend.
Yeah, deliver food to old people if they're in quarantine, or any of your friends that are in quarantine. You don't even have to see them. You can drop it off on their front porch. It's kind. Teach your grandparents how to use Skype, FaceTime, so they don't feel isolated.
Yeah.
Right?
And then when it comes to you personally, don't drink, because alcohol is like immune system killer number one.
Yeah, it suppresses your immune system for up to 7 days after a binge drinking episode. If you drink daily, it's suppressing your immune function on a low level. Like that glass of wine or two at night that you think is boosting your health actually suppresses immune function. So right now is the best time to avoid coronas.
Yeah, I think, a good analogy here is there's a lot of evidence showing that systemic low-grade inflammation is one of the fundamental aspects of many of the chronic diseases that we face today. And so chronic low-level immunosuppression is the same idea. Like, yeah, your immune system doesn't tank and you still have the ability to fight off basic infections and the such, but it puts you at a greater susceptibility to contract pathogens and become ill.
Exactly.
And just like with drinking, another one is going to be dieting, right?
Yes. It increases your catecholamines, which suppresses immune function.
The same as the fear response.
Yeah, and it suppresses white blood cell count.
Mm-hmm. It slows down protein synthesis because your body doesn't want to give resources to building new proteins. And protein doesn't just exist in your muscle. That protein synthesis is necessary for your immune cells to function and for them to be developed.
So I've seen a lot of stuff on social media saying that fasting is going to prevent COVID.
Yeah, it's certainly not going to prevent it. There's some preliminary research suggesting that prolonged fasting more than 3 days can benefit immunity. And I haven't really looked into it, so I can't speak to whether that's accurate or not. I don't see how it would do anything different than just getting a healthy minimum 12-hour overnight fast and eating a solid diet.
Yeah, nutrient dense.
Yeah. And so there's also the aspect of the thyroid. If you're dieting for a prolonged period of time, thyroid's going to downregulate, and that's very important for immune function.
Yeah, it's important for everything. I think people think it's just metabolism that's affected. But
plus, there's this double whammy too, where a lot of people will diet, but then they'll have their like cheat or refeed days, and
it's all junk and alcohol. And
and so you have dieting plus alcohol binges. You're setting yourself up for some serious trouble when it comes to infections.
So you want to go over some supplements?
Yeah.
So with my melanoma, I dug into we both did. Dug into a lot of the supplements that boost immune function. So we'll get into that. And
I know if there's someone out there watching who's like, well, you can't boost your immune system. This isn't nitro. Okay, true. We're just using that as a general term to say that we're helping facilitate a robust immune response against invading pathogens and bolster immunity overall.
Yeah,
okay?
It's a phrase.
Yeah, it's just more fun to say boost.
Yeah, don't get literal.
So some of the ones, like, what's some of the ones that you started with when you got your immune-based melanoma?
Yeah, I'm a big advocate of vitamin C and lysine.
Okay. So vitamin C is one where a lot of people say you don't really need to supplement it, but it's actually one of the best researched supplements for fighting off the common cold. And the common cold isn't the coronavirus, but it is a virus. And so, I guess let me preface this by saying that there is no evidence any supplement works specifically against the coronavirus.
None.
Those studies haven't been conducted, obviously, because the coronavirus is so new. So what we're using here is studies that have historical data either on other viruses, be it the flu or the cold or whatever.
Or immune function
or just immune function in general. Okay? So,
and that's what I did with my melanoma too. Like, it wasn't studies that were just related to that disease state.
It's just maintaining a healthy immune system.
It's just common sense.
Yeah.
You look at these studies that boost immune function, and it's going to boost immune function across the board.
Yeah. And so getting back to vitamin C, it's been shown to reduce both the severity and the duration of the common cold when taken in doses of 1 to 2 grams divided across the day as a kind of preventive measure, right? So you need to be taking it consistently before you get hit with the cold. You can't just start high dosing it once you do get infected. And
that's why a lot of people say it just doesn't work. And I'm like, because they get sick and then they try to like mass dose it. And I'm like, that's not how it works.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it'll be helpful, but it's not gonna really make that big of a difference.
Yep, exactly. And lysine is kind of the same way. So lysine's been investigated for the herpes simplex virus, which is responsible for herpes outbreaks and like cold sores. And
that's a virus.
Yeah. So it can't prevent the virus, but it can help reduce the
replication.
Reduce replication and resolve any flares, which means that theoretically, if it worked on the coronavirus in a similar way, it would help reduce the duration of having any symptoms because the virus would be inhibited from replicating. And to do this, you would need to take about 3 grams on a daily basis as preventive measure.
And I split that in between my meals.
And yes, you do get lysine from eating protein. And so maybe eating a high protein diet has similar effects. The issue is that the studies
show
use 3 grams of isolated lysine in people with a normal protein intake. So maybe if you get 3 grams of lysine through your higher protein diet, it could have a similar effect, but we don't know.
I'm not convinced of that because there's amino acid competition.
Yeah.
I'm not so convinced of that.
Yeah. And so it's best to just do your 3 grams of lysine and call it good. So another one would be vitamin D. Vitamin D is absolutely essential for immune functionality. Every immune cell has vitamin D receptors, and when vitamin D binds to it, it gets turned into its active metabolite, which is required for both innate and adaptive immune responses. One of the signs of vitamin D deficiency is immunosuppression and increased susceptibility to infections. So for this one, there is no real dosing protocol. It's basically just You should
go off your labs.
You should monitor your vitamin D status using 25-hydroxy vitamin D.
You should be doing that anyways in the winter.
Yep. And you should supplement a dose that lets you get above 30 nanograms per milliliter.
Or
75 nanomoles.
Yeah, I prefer keeping it over 50 if it's if you're exposed to viruses.
Yeah, the issue with vitamin D is that there isn't a lot of research looking at the effects of higher vitamin D status relative to lower, but there's a lot around the lower and like mid ranges.
Well, there's people that have polymorphisms in their vitamin D receptors, their VDR.
Yep.
So
you might need a higher concentration to get similar effect.
And if you don't know that, it's better to err on the side of caution, in my opinion.
Yeah, there isn't any data that suggests having a level around like 50 nanograms per milliliter, which is 125 nanomoles per liter, would have any risk of toxicity or any adverse effects. So yeah, vitamin D is
another one of my favorites is turkey tail mushrooms.
Oh, so what you're saying is that you're a quack. No.
Yeah.
I know. So you might encounter a lot of people who poo-poo on mushrooms, but they've been used in ancient times for
there's studies
every ailment.
That, right?
Yeah, and turkey tail has definitely been investigated in clinical research,
for
especially
immune enhancing. Specifically, I like a bunch of different mushrooms for immune function, but that one has been there hasn't been many studies on the mushrooms, right? But turkey tail has been studied.
Yeah, especially as an adjunct for chemotherapy because it helps preserve the life of the host's immune system so that cancer cells die more quickly than your own immune cells from the chemotherapy. It's actually approved as an adjunct for cancer therapy in Japan. And that's because it contains this thing called polysaccharide K, which is PSK, which is this immune boosting compound in turkey tail. And it helps increase the activity and functionality of natural killer cells as well as T cells. And you're looking to take at least 1 gram per day. Some studies in cancer therapy go all the way up to 7 grams per day, but it can get...
I take about 3 to 4 grams a day. Like he's saying, it's cost prohibitive.
It can be cost prohibitive in people.
It's an expensive supplement.
Yeah. A less expensive supplement, though, that has very similar effects is going to be olive leaf.
Yep.
And I like olive leaf because it reduces LDL oxidation and can help stave off heart disease. But it's also super beneficial for the immune system because it increases your CD8 plus cell counts as well as your natural killer cell numbers. It also increases the expression of T helper cells and interferon gamma production and nitric oxide production. And all of these things are necessary components of the adaptive immune response towards killing viruses and bacteria that have been targeted by the immune system, and they say, hey, you're not supposed to be here. And so it bolsters that adaptive immune response against any cells that have been infected with viruses. And for this one, you're looking for 500 to 1,000 milligrams per day.
Yeah, garlic is another one of my favorites.
Oh, God, I love garlic.
You love garlic again for cholesterol, right?
Yeah, I do love, well, garlic's a powerful sulfur donor in the body, and it's been shown to
But it increases your white blood cells too, right?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I'm not going to go off on a cardiovascular tangent here, but garlic's pretty amazing. It increases white blood cell counts and the production of T cells, all of which can help reduce the risk of becoming infected. It's not treatment. It's preventive. So again, it's something you have to take regularly to just...
Don't you want a high allicin count in the supplement?
Yes, you do, because that's going to be the primary component in garlic. That's the primary sulfur component that boosts hydrogen sulfide in the body and benefits immune function.
But they sell specific like allicin supplements.
Yeah.
Do you think that's worth it?
No,
to purchase those?
I think
they're more expensive.
There's been a lot more research using garlic extract, just pure garlic extract, and garlic has a lot more bioactives than just that one. So while that one could potentially be like the best out of all of them, I would rather stick with the majority of research, which looks specifically at garlic and all of its constituents. And so for that, you want 600 to 1,200 milligrams
because it's the whole food
of garlic
matrix
per day.
that plays
Yep,
in
exactly.
that a lot of people miss.
So I guess the last one to talk about would be zinc, or, well, we have two more. Zinc, though. Zinc is just, it's necessary for your immune cells to function. For example, macrophages require zinc to do phagocytosis and engulf and destroy invaders. And so zinc deficiency, just like with vitamin D, one of the signs of it is immunosuppression.
Yeah.
And so you want to ensure that you have good zinc status overall.
If you want to be really sure, I test mine. Mine's always on the low end, though, even with supplements, if that tells you anything. And I eat a high protein diet, so
yeah.
I think I just use it really quick because I work out.
Yeah, and so
I have a lot of demands on my body.
Yep, and so the RDA for zinc is 15 milligrams per day. So if you're going to supplement, that's a good, just general supplemental dose.
It's best to space them out because you can only absorb so much at a time.
Yeah, you can only absorb several grams at a given time. So you don't want to take it as just one thing, but you want to space it out.
And, I mean, you could get super crazy and space it from grains because there's lactic acid in it, but I'm not so convinced that it's worth the worrying.
Yeah, I wouldn't sweat that.
Yeah.
Now, if you do start feeling like you're sick too, I have to mention zinc lozenges, specifically zinc acetate. And these, when you consume zinc lozenges, I can't even say the word. Yeah, when you get those in the form of zinc acetate and you consume them throughout the day, it can help reduce like having a stuffy throat or a sore throat.
Well, it gets into the mucous membranes.
Yeah.
And so that's what you want, is you want to actually suck on it and not chew it. Chew it.
And you're looking for 80 to 125 milligrams per day from the lozenges because it's going to have a
lot of them have a lot
effect.
of sugar in them. So have you found one that doesn't?
Well, yeah, but it's like over in our kitchen. I'm not going to go grab it.
Okay.
But I'll link to it in the things.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, and so the last one's going to be elderberry and echina. Wait, am I saying that right? Echinacea? Okay, that sounds way better. So elderberry and echinacea both increase the inflammatory cytokines that your immune system releases in order to stimulate an immune response against an invader. And so one of the downsides of this is that this is the exact reason why you start to feel sick in the first place. This is why you develop a fever. This is why you feel like crap when you're sick. Mm-hmm. But it's necessary to destroy the invading pathogens. And so basically elderberry and, how do you say it? Echinacea have been shown to shorten the length of infections because they help make that initial hit against the pathogens more robust, but also makes you feel like crap. Just something to be aware of. You'll get over the infection quicker, but you'll feel worse while it's going on. Is there any
research on elderberry? Because I know a lot of the crunchy moms spray like oils, essential oils all over you and drink elderberry syrup like it's going out of style and say that it's going to cure you from everything, including exorcism.
It's okay. Well, it's not going to cure you from everything, but there is definitely research on both of these showing that they can help reduce the length of infections. For the, how do you say the word? Echinacea. For the echinacea, you're looking for 900 to 1,500 milligrams per day.
And it's really good, made into a tea. Traditional Medicine, I think is the brand name. They make a really strong, concentrated tea. Yeah,
and you want it taken throughout the day. So
tea's perfect.
Yeah, tea is perfect for it to drink throughout the day. For the elderberry extract, you can do tinctures or you could find a pill, but you're looking for 700 to 900 milligrams per day, also taken as divided doses.
Yeah, and a lot of the syrups that people make, like at home, you're not going to get a specific dose, so you can't guarantee that you're going to get an effective dose.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Because you can't control for the dosage.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of all that we really wanted to talk about. Of course.
What about face masks? I want to cover that.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think you should run out and wear a face mask?
Well,
maybe we should because we're in Manhattan.
I don't think it's necessary unless you yourself are sick because it'll help prevent you from breathing on people.
Yeah, it reduces your risk of getting it from other people around 10%.
Okay, so I mean, 10%, if you're immunocompromised, then might be worth it.
It might be worth it.
But
I'm not going to be wearing one.
yeah, me either.
And I still have cancer that is immune regulated, and I'm not going to wear one.
Yeah. So basically, to sum up, be a good human. Stop freaking out. Stop buying all the toilet paper.
Boost your immune function.
Boost your immune function with specific supplements that have clinical research showing that they bolster a robust immune system and immune response against pathogens. And we will summarize all this in the comments. So
give us a like, share, subscribe, and comment.
And we'll see you next time.